That's how strong my Larp is. Whoa. This episode is less of a guide on how to LARP and more of a rant, a narcissistic TED talk in which I get to flex my brain and show how smart I am. A lot of what I'm about to talk about crosses into game design, so if you're into that sort of thing, then get ready. No, I'm not running out of ideas for LARP guides, I'm just branching out to include a more varied audience to boost interest in the hobby. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, honest. So get ready, I'm going to show you how to LARP. Kinda, not really, close enough. No matter how much focus you put into role-playing at LARP, the underlying mechanics and numbers will always still matter on some level. Having a metal helmet gives you an extra 2 hit points, sword strikes deal 1 damage, and the fireball requires the caster to chant it before throwing a sanctioned beanbag, etc. Generally speaking, if a LARP has a spell that does damage, then it means they have abilities that are limited in some way, and the only way to increase this limit is by leveling up. It's weird to me that RPGs and leveling up is so ingrained with each other despite the specific phrasing of role-playing having nothing to do with numbers getting bigger. Regardless, the feeling of getting stronger without actually having to do constant exercise and eating right is so seductive that some players simply choose to stick around their LARP for that feeling of power, even if everything else becomes stagnant. This leads to an interesting problem with no clear answer. What do you do when you have a group of players get too powerful? In an ideal world, the more powerful players are spread out, but all too easily a good number of them will be in a single faction. If they get tired of being overpowered, they might just decide to retire their characters, but we can't trust people to always do such a thing. We can always make leveling up only give small amounts of power and make it grow slow, however that in of itself might make people feel like they're putting too much time and effort into something with little payoff. If you give too much power too quickly, they might find themselves soon hitting a ceiling and stalling with nowhere else to grow. At that point, what do? If the answer is to add more levels and more skills and abilities, then stop. Just stop. It's a terrible idea in LARP. If this was a video game, that'd be fine, but in a LARP where you have to memorize how much damage each spell does to you in the event that you might get hit with it, adding more numbers and effects to remember only makes it more difficult for newbies to play. Nothing kills immersion quicker than calling timeout to figure if lightning bolt stuns or dazes the target, and then trying to figure out if there's a difference between being dazed or stunned. If one were to add more abilities, I recommend that they only affect the person who uses them, so if you want to memorize more stuff, you don't force new people to do it. Point is, the bigger the rule set, the harder it is to learn. The harder it is to learn, the less new people you'll have. The less new people you have, the less people you'll have in the future. The less people you have in the future, the smaller the LARP. The smaller the LARP, the bigger chance it might dissolve. I'm not telling you to not put in more mechanics, I'm just saying you should think very, very hard before introducing them. So you now know everything about feature creep as it pertains to LARP. You're welcome.